Good morning children, stay safely at home. So I was discussing moving coil galvanometer and we got this relation that I is equal to K by NAB into phi, okay, when we use a concave pole pieces. Now here, how to measure the angle of twist suffered by the phosphor bronze fiber. For that, I hope you can remember, I rubbed the diagram already, that is a mirror was attached with the phosphor bronze fiber. Now, there is another lamp and scale arrangement. So, there is a lamp and there is a scale, okay. And by this lamp and scale arrangement, generally we measure what is the angle of twist phi. Alright, now just look at the diagram how it is done generally. First of all, from this lamp there is a scale and lamp attached with the placed in front of the mirror attached with the phosphor bronze fiber. So here you see this is the scale and here I have drawn the lamp on the scale, but the lamp is not on the scale, just below the scale the lamp is set. And you see here this is the M1, this is the first position of the mirror. First of all, what is done, the position of the lamp and mirror, it is adjusted in such a manner that when light is falling on the mirror, then it reflects back and coincide with the zero of the scale. Alright, then what is done, current is sent through the galvanometer. So when the current will pass, then you know that suppose the mirror is like this is the phosphor bronze fiber. So the moment the mirror get phosphor bronze fiber get twisted, mirror gets deflected, then you see this is the angle of twist. So the mirror gets deflected by an angle phi. Now already we studied in 9th standard, when the mirror gets rotated by an angle phi, then the reflected ray, here you see when the mirror was in the position of M1, what was the reflected ray? This is the reflected ray, okay, which is falling. The light is falling on this position, S1 position of the scale. Now when the mirror is rotated by an angle phi, then what happens to the reflected angle? Reflected angle gets rotated by an angle 2 phi. So you see here, incident angle it will remain the same, but reflected angle it will rotate by an angle 2 phi, and then what will happen? This will be the new reflected ray. So you see, if this is the new reflected ray, then this angle is 2 phi, and what is happening here in this one, you see that reflected ray means you will get a bright patch of light. Reflected ray, how we will receive in the original experiment, you will see a circular patch of light on the scale. So you see circular patch of light on the scale, first it was at S1, then the patch of light has come to S2. So how much it is shifted? By an amount, suppose delta. Now if you consider that big D be the distance between the scale and the mirror, then from this relation you can write phi is equal to delta by 2D. Okay, sorry, 2 phi is equal to S1 S2 by D. It is coming from that one. We are considering that S1 S2 is nothing but arc of a circle whose radius is D and the angle subtended at the center is 2 phi. So from that relation you are getting 2 phi is equal to S1 S2 by D. Or you can explain this way also, tan 2 phi is S1 S2 by D. Alright, now you know that this angle 2 phi, it's actually very small in measure, and tan theta, when theta tends to 0, tan theta tends to theta. So from all these relations together, we are getting 2 phi is equal to S1 S2 by D. So what will be phi? Delta by 2D. You see here S1 S2 I have denoted it by delta. So what are you getting? You see I is K by NAB. This is galvanometer constant which will be provided by the manufacturer. It will be, the value will be given written within the galvanometer. Then phi you can measure by this experimental method. So one can measure how much is the current. Okay, and in this case you see I is proportional to phi and phi is proportional to delta, so you can write it I proportional to delta. More be the current passing through the galvanometer, more will be the angle of twist. So this is the way, by measuring the angle of twist, one can find out what is the current passing through the galvanometer. But in this one, the problem is that moving coil galvanometer, suspended coil galvanometer rather, that directly you cannot measure delta. Okay, directly you cannot measure, you need the lamp and scale arrangement. Alright, so that's why generally in lab we prefer the pivoted type of galvanometer. Instead of suspended coil galvanometer, we prefer pivoted coil. So as I already said, in the suspended coil galvanometer, the disadvantage is that one cannot find out what is the angle of deflection or angle of twist directly. You need to apply the lamp and scale arrangement. So that is removed, that disadvantage is removed in the pivoted coil galvanometer. So just look at the diagram. In the pivoted coil galvanometer, this is the core. Now the coil, this is the coil. The two ends of the coil, it is pivoted at 2 points, alright, so that it can freely rotate about the axle, and there are two springs through which the terminal, that is what we can say, the screw, terminal screw, it is connected, T1 and T2. Clear? Where you have to send the, join the connection for the circuit, sending current across T1 and T2. Alright, and why it is connected through spring? That when you are sending the current, you see the coil will deflect. Now when the current is withdrawn, this spring will take back the coil to its original position. That's why springs are provided. And in this case you see, through this one, the pointer is connected through this thread, that this one, this is connected, pivoted one, this terminal it is connected to a pointer, so that when the coil will rotate, then what will happen, pointer will also rotate by the same angle, and pointer can move on the scale, and the scale is calibrated in such a manner that when no current is passing through the coil, then pointer will be at the 0. And when the current is passing from T1 to T2, alright, then the pointer will move from 0 to 30, and when you are sending the current from T2 to T1, it will move towards the left direction. Alright, so this is the galvanometer which we generally use in the physics lab, but its working is same as that of the previous one, that is the suspended coil galvanometer. And in this case also, I is equal to K into phi by NAB. So if you know the values of K, NAB, you can read the reading for phi directly from the scale, and you can substitute there, and you can find out what is the amount of current passing through the galvanometer. So this is the way a moving coil galvanometer may be a suspended coil galvanometer or a pivoted coil galvanometer works. Next one is current sensitivity of a galvanometer. Alright, how much it is sensitive to the current? You know that since we say one apparatus is most sensitive when it can read a small amount of any quantity accurately. Alright, so here you see we are measuring the current by measuring the amount of deflection. Alright, so current sensitivity is defined as amount of deflection per unit current passing through the galvanometer. Means current sensitivity is measured by phi by I. Now you know I is equal to plus, one mistake I have done in that relation, by mistake I have written K by NAB. Actually C by NAB it should be. Please correct it, okay. C by NAB into phi and C by NAB is K. Alright, that is the mistake I have done just in the previous one. So you please correct that. It should be I is equal to C by NAB into phi equal to K into phi. Alright, you must correct it because I have rubbed the board. Okay, so I is not K by NAB, that is the constant, we have denoted it by C, and C by NAB we have denoted by K. So here you see, if you consider I is C NAB into phi, then you see what is phi by I is NAB by C. So you see how you can increase the current sensitivity. You can increase the current sensitivity either by increasing N, A or B, or by decreasing C. Now here you see you can increase N, you can increase A, but when you are increasing N and A, then what is happening? Number of turns and area of the coil. When you are increasing it, then the coil, the instrument, it will become heavy. Alright, then when it will become heavy, then when it will deflect, then gravity you have to consider. So in that case, what will happen? The other factors it comes. That's why generally we increase the current sensitivity by increasing B and by decreasing C. So how to increase B? How to increase the magnetic field? Magnetic field is increased by using a soft iron core. Alright, you have seen no that in the core I said that within the coil there is aluminium frame. Within the aluminium frame a soft iron core is used. So this soft iron core is responsible to increase the value of B. Another way to increase the value of B is that you use stronger polar pieces of the horseshoe magnet. Stronger pole pieces of the horseshoe magnet. Then next one is you can increase the current sensitivity by decreasing C. Okay, I hope you can remember C is the torsional constant of that fiber which is used to suspend the coil. So that is the reason that we choose phosphor bronze fiber. For phosphor bronze fiber, the value of C is less. So verbally I am saying this, please kindly you note it down in the notebook that why phosphor bronze fiber is used. Alright, why phosphor bronze fiber is used? For phosphor bronze fiber, the value of the torsional constant C is quite less. So if you use phosphor bronze fiber, then what will happen? Current sensitivity will increase. Alright. Then next one is voltage sensitivity. Now you see voltage sensitivity exactly in the same manner we define it as the deflection per unit voltage. So you see deflection per unit voltage. Voltage how you can write? Voltage is equal to current into resistance. So here you see that what will be the relation? It will be NAB divided by CR. What is this R? R is the resistance of the coil. Okay. So in this case also you see you can increase the voltage sensitivity either by increasing B, magnetic field. How you can increase the magnetic field? Once again I am repeating, by using a soft iron core, by using stronger pole pieces of a horseshoe magnet, or by decreasing C. So how we can decrease C? By choosing phosphor bronze as the fiber, phosphor bronze as the material for the suspended fiber. Alright. So this is these two relation, that current sensitivity and voltage sensitivity, you must learn and remember for solving the numericals. Okay, and how we can increase the current sensitivity. Now here you see I am discussing how you can increase the current sensitivity. If the question come how to decrease the current sensitivity, then hopefully you will be able to write the answer. Okay, means you can decrease the current sensitivity by decreasing B and by increasing the value of C. Means instead of phosphor bronze fiber you use any other material whose C is much what I can say much higher, and for B do not use soft iron core. Alright, so this is the current sensitivity, concept of current sensitivity and voltage sensitivity, and how to increase current sensitivity and voltage sensitivity of a galvanometer. Now the two topics I am going to discuss, very important, concept wise also and exam wise also, and numerical, for solving the numerical also. So please try to have a very clear concept. Now conversion of galvanometer into an ammeter. You know that galvanometer can measure the current, but it cannot measure the current directly. Alright, it can just detect the presence of current in a circuit, and it can say that whether current is more or less, or if there is a change in direction of the current in the circuit, galvanometer can detect that. Now you want to convert the galvanometer into ammeter. Now you know that ammeter, it measures the current directly. And one more thing is that ammeter is connected always. Ammeter is connected in series. Alright, so you see, when you are connecting the ammeter in series and you want to measure the current passing through the circuit, then what should be the resistance of an ideal ammeter? The resistance of an ideal ammeter should be 0. Means it will not offer any resistance to the flow of current. Then only what will happen? The entire current of the circuit will pass through the ammeter, and ammeter will give you the exact measure of the current passing through the circuit. That's why you must remember that ideal ammeter, if you consider an ideal ammeter, then the resistance is 0. Alright, resistance of an ideal ammeter is 0. I have written this way. What is the meaning? I am saying verbally, please understand that. That for an ammeter, ideal ammeter, what should be the resistance? The resistance should be 0. Alright, now you consider that there is a galvanometer. So suppose there is a galvanometer here. We are considering G be the resistance of the galvanometer. We are just simply denoting it. Sorry, G is the resistance of the galvanometer. Alright, that you are having, and you have to convert it into a ammeter. And let us consider that through the galvanometer, the maximum current that can pass, let it be Ig. Alright, so what I said, G be the resistance of the galvanometer. Already I have written, this is resistance of galvanometer. And what is Ig? The maximum current that can pass through the galvanometer. Alright, maximum current that can pass through the galvanometer, or the current for which the galvanometer pointer shows maximum deflection. Alright, now suppose you want to convert it into ammeter. Now what you have to do? You have to make this value, resistance of the galvanometer 0, or you have to decrease. You cannot make the resistance of the galvanometer 0. So by any means you have to decrease the resistance of the galvanometer if you want to convert it into an ammeter. Alright, now how you can decrease one resistance? If you apply our concept of the series and parallel combination, then we have seen if we connect any resistance parallel to each other, then the equivalent resistance become less than the individual resistances. Alright, so we will apply the concept here. What we will do, we will connect a very small resistance, this S. S is what? Shunt. S is known as shunt. Shunting the current. And it is, what is it actually? A very small resistance. Alright. Why I have written very small resistance? Now you see, when you will connect G and S in parallel, then what will be the equivalent resistance of this one? It will be less than S. So you see, already you have taken S very small, and when you are connecting it to the galvanometer, then the entire thing, the value of the resistance becoming still smaller. Means you are approaching to this condition that resistance of the ideal ammeter is 0. We cannot make the resistance 0. We are making it as small as possible. So how you can convert a galvanometer into an ammeter? This is the question, sometimes come as a 1 mark question. So how you can convert a galvanometer into an ammeter? This is the answer: by connecting a very small resistance, and for a good answer you can mention the name of the resistance, shunt, in parallel to the galvanometer. So here you see these are the 2 points in parallel and small resistance. Okay. So how you can convert a galvanometer into an ammeter? If the question comes as one more question, then how to write the answer? By connecting a very small resistance which is known as shunt in parallel, that you have to mention, to the galvanometer. And those who are having problem in handling the English sentence, then for them there is another way, that you just simply draw this diagram. Okay, you simply draw this diagram this way, that you show G is the galvanometer and Ig is the current, maximum current passing through it. Then this is the ammeter. This within bracket, within the dotted line, whatever is there, that is ammeter. Means you have connected shunt in parallel to the galvanometer. Alright. So this is the way we can convert a Now suppose you want to make an ammeter which can measure I amount of current. Alright. Then the value of the shunt is chosen in such a manner that Ig, that is the maximum current the galvanometer can withstand, will pass through the galvanometer, and rest of the current, you see here I current is coming. So when it will come at the node, Ig current passing through this branch. So how much current will pass through the shunt? I minus Ig amount of current will pass through the shunt. Alright. Now if you consider these are the 2 points A and B, then you see potential difference between A and B. You can write it as Ig into G. Okay. Or you can write it as I minus Ig into S. If you consider this branch, what is the potential difference? Current into resistance, I minus Ig into S. If you consider this branch, what is the potential difference? Current into resistance, Ig into G. So you see, what is the value of the shunt to be chosen? Ig into G divided by I minus Ig. Alright. So I think that if it comes how to convert a galvanometer into an ammeter, alright, then this is the best way to draw the diagram instead of drawing the previous one. Okay, if you can write down in sentence, very good. You write it down that way by connecting a very high resistance shunt in parallel to the galvanometer, or you better draw this diagram and also write what is the value of the shunt chosen. What will be the value of the shunt chosen? Ig into big G. Big G is what? Resistance of the galvanometer, and Ig is what? The maximum current that can pass through the galvanometer. So AC is Id into G divided by I minus Ig. So this is the way one can convert a galvanometer into an ammeter. So everybody, please, this diagram and the relation AC is Ig into G by I minus Ig, learn, remember and practice it. Now one more topic here, one more point you have to remember. What will be the resistance of the ammeter? You see, what will be the resistance of the ammeter? Ammeter we are getting by connecting S in parallel to G. So it will be the equivalent resistance of the parallel combination of S and G. So you can write it as S into G divided by S plus G. This is the resistance of ammeter. Alright, remember. What will be the resistance of the ammeter? It will be S into G divided by S plus G. Now next is how to convert a galvanometer into a voltmeter. Now for voltmeter, remember voltmeter is always connected in parallel across the points where you want to find out the potential difference. That's why if you want to find out the potential difference exactly between the 2 points, then the entire current should pass through that original branch. No current should pass through the voltmeter. So as no current should pass, almost zero current should pass through the voltmeter, what should be the resistance of an ideal voltmeter? resistance of an ideal voltmeter should be infinity. Alright, means should be very large, as much as you can make. Clear? What was the resistance of an ideal ammeter? I said ideal ammeter should have zero resistance, so that it can allow the entire current to pass through that. But in case of voltmeter, as it is connected in parallel and as it is measuring the potential difference across 2 points, so through the voltmeter should be the current, minimum current, means should, for an ideal voltmeter, zero current should pass through it. Means what? What should be the resistance of an ideal voltmeter? Resistance of an ideal voltmeter should be infinity. So here you see, when we are having one galvanometer, alright, the resistance is G, then it can withstand the current Ig. Alright, so if you want to increase, what is it says in G? Now if you want to convert it into voltmeter, you have to make the resistance as large as possible. Infinity we cannot make. So how to do? We know, again, if we apply our concept of the series and parallel combination, in series combination, the equivalent resistance is higher than the individual resistances. So here, what you have to do, you have to connect a very high resistance in series with the galvanometer. Alright, so you see, this is the galvanometer, what you have done. So how you can convert a galvanometer into a voltmeter? By connecting a very high resistance in series. Just opposite to that for the ammeter, in series with the galvanometer. Alright, again I am repeating, when you convert it into ammeter, what you have done? You have connected a smaller resistance in parallel to the galvanometer. But when you want to convert it into a voltmeter, what you have to do? By connecting a very high resistance in series with the galvanometer, you can convert into a voltmeter. Alright. Now suppose you want to convert into galvanometer into a voltmeter, which can measure a potential difference, maximum potential difference of V. Then depending on the value of V, how you have to choose the value of R. So let us again apply our concept of physics. So if you consider these 2 points, potential difference is V, then you see what is the resistance in this. R and G, they are connected in series. So what is the total resistance? R plus G. So what will be V? V you can write it as Ig into R plus G. So if you simplify it, then you can write V into this one, just you open the bracket, then what will be IGR? It will be V minus Ig into G. So what will be R? It will be V minus Ig into G divided by Ig. So this is the value of R should be chosen. You see, depending on the value of V, you have to change the value of R. Okay, suppose you want to measure voltmeter, you want to construct a voltmeter, convert a galvanometer into a voltmeter, which can measure 5 volt, maximum 5 volt. So V will become 5 volt. Then you see, depending on the value of Ig and GR will change. Suppose you want to make a voltmeter by which you can measure 10 volt maximum, then V will be 10 volts. So depending on the value of V, R will again change. So this is the way one can convert a galvanometer into a voltmeter. Alright, so this is the resistance to be used. Do not consider it as the resistance of the voltmeter. So in this case, you see, what is the resistance of the voltmeter? The resistance of the voltmeter is R plus G. So once again I am summarizing that if you want to convert a galvanometer into voltmeter, how to do? By connecting a high resistance in series with the galvanometer. What should be the value of the high resistance? V minus Ig into G by Ig. And what will be the resistance of the voltmeter? It will be the high resistance connected plus the resistance of the voltmeter. So this is the last topic of this chapter. chapter. This chapter is a very small chapter, but the last two topics I have discussed, every year question comes on it. So please you learn, and very easy also concept wise. So please learn and practice the last two topics. And from the moving coil, suspended coil type galvanometer, what is the value of the torque? That is NIAB sin theta. Then what is the formula for the current for the moving coil galvanometer, the expression for current sensitivity, voltage sensitivity, all these things you please learn. But please learn this chapter thoroughly, because it is a easy type of chapter and small chapter, and every year, almost every year, the question comes from this chapter. Thank you girls.